Have you ever wondered how much an average employee can make on a tech IPO? Well, in 2011, I joined one of the hottest startups of all time called Box Inc. And today I'm going to share with you absolutely everything about how much money I made there. First, a word from our sponsors, Phil's Coffee. I actually paid them $80 today and they didn't give me a cent, but it was great coffee. And if you're wondering if I used my IPO money on this, you're about to find out. Early in my career in 2011, Box gave me a job offer for a Salesforce developer position. The base salary was $110,000 a year, and it included 4,000 shares priced at 1 cent each, which vested over 4 years. This was an astronomical amount of money. It was more than double what I was currently making. So I thought, let's not try to negotiate this. Let's just take it before they get smart and figure out how big of a mistake they made. And so I started my dream job at Box. And if you're not familiar, Box is one of those rare tech unicorns out there. And it had all the classic characteristics of a crazy pre-IPO tech company. It had a 28-year-old CEO who dropped out of college and was a genius. It had a 2-story slide running through the building. It had a ton of funding, and it was making crazy amounts of money, but somehow finding ways to spend money even quicker, which explains why they paid that much money to a scrub like me. So 4 years after I joined, Box went IPO. Let's see how they did. On their first day of trading, their stock went up to $23 a share. Multiply that by my 4,000 shares, and I would have made $92,000 on that IPO. However, within the next year, their shares dropped down to $10 a share, which was about $40,000 worth of shares for me. And in 2018, their shares jumped up to $28 a share, which would have been $112,000 from me from their IPO if I perfectly timed the market. From there, Box stock has slowly gone downhill, and as of 2020, it's currently trading at around $20 a share, which for me equates to $80,000. But wait, there's more. Somehow at Box, I was actually a pretty good employee. So every year they held their annual hackathon, and somehow I won a number of these. So Box gave me a raise, which included a special grant of shares, which is generally pretty unusual. So they increased my salary from $110,000 a year to $150,000 a year. Then they gave me 10,000 additional shares of stock. Doing the math, my 14,000 shares were worth a little more than 300 grand at IPO and almost 400 grand at the peak stock price. $400,000 is a lot of money, but surprisingly, it's actually not top tier pay when it comes to Silicon Valley stock. So that $400,000 worth of shares, if I timed perfectly, would have vested over around 5 years, which means those shares were worth about $80,000 a year to me. Now, surprisingly, if you get a tech job at companies like Google, Apple, or Facebook, you can make that much amount of money in stock per year without all the risks of working at a startup. And somehow, someone at Google made a big mistake and gave me a job offer there, which is why I left Box. So how much money did I actually make from the Box IPO? Well, since I actually left Box early for Google, I only vested a small portion of my shares, and I timed the market completely wrong, which means instead of making $400,000 on my shares, I made about $15,000, which by Silicon Valley standards pays for about 3 months of rent. Ouch. What did I learn from all this? Well, if you're dreaming of making a ton of money from a tech IPO, you can't really join an established startup. You actually have to be really, really early there. Like I was employee number 300, and at IPO, they probably quadrupled in size, but you probably need to be like employee number 50 or something. 300 is way too big. And if you're somehow lucky enough to get job offers from a tech startup and an established giant like Apple, well, consider joining the tech giant because that's safer money. All that said, I am extremely grateful to Box for giving me that job offer. They treated me better than I ever deserved, and I'm always going to look back at that time and smile. Also, their stock price is permanently lower because I work there. To all you tech dreamers out there, thanks for watching. Give me a like if you want more content like this, and good luck.